This is Mission Minute News. I'm Dominican Sister of Mission San Jose, Jean Harris. You know, Thanksgiving is a time for reflection on all our blessings. Your friendship means so much to us. You have supported Wordnet through your prayers and contributions. We wish you hope, joy, peace, good health, favor, and love. Have a joyous Thanksgiving. Now the headlines. Holy Father warns of priestly mediocrity. Pope thanks Blessed Mother for journey to Bahrain. COP27, hunger, conflict, climate, inequality, all interconnected. San Bernardino Cyril Malabar Mission celebrates Patron. SSPS Justice and Peace in Illinois. Birthday of St. Arnold celebrated. National Black Catholic Men's Conference renamed. Those stories and more on this edition of Mission Minute News. Pope warns of priestly mediocrity. In off-the-cuff remarks to seminary rectors and formators from Latin America, Pope Francis says they should teach student priests to pray constantly. He also warns of the dangers of rigidity in seminaries and stresses the need to strive for closeness in 4 different ways. The first closeness Pope Francis identified was intimacy with God in prayer. You must know that a priest who does not pray goes into the rubbish bin. Perhaps he perseveres until he grows old, but in the bin, that is to say, in mediocrity. While mortal sin scares you and you go to confession right away, he said, mediocrity is a way of life that a priest who does not pray falls into. Next, the Pope turned to closeness with one's bishop, which is non-negotiable. Perhaps he is a wretch, the Holy Father said, but you are also a wretch. That is to say, as 2 wretches, you'll understand one another. Nevertheless, the bishop is your father, so look to him, be near him, not in order to flatter him so he'll give you that parish you like, or that other one you like better. No, discern with the Father. Thirdly, there's the closeness among priests. One of the ugliest vices we have, the clerical race, is gossip. We speak ill of companions. They are your brothers. There are too many gossips even in the church. There are too many everywhere. Let's not educate more gossipers, because this ruins our life. Finally, he said, priests must be close to their parishioners, to the people of God. I'm really sorry when I see priests who are so polished that they have forgotten the people from whom they were taken. What Paul says to Timothy, remember your mother and grandmother. That is, think about where you came from, that you were taken from the flock. Don't forget about your people. Teach the young to feel love for their people. They shouldn't show off like they're extraterrestrials because they're studying philosophy, theology, or whatever, because they're going to become priests who are separated. Don't let them forget the smell of God's people, which is why they're there. Pope thanks Blessed Mother for journey to Bahrain. Keeping with tradition, the Pope visited Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major upon returning to Rome November 6th from his apostolic journey to the Kingdom of Bahrain to visit Our Lady and give thanks for her maternal protection. This 39th apostolic journey marked his second to the Middle Eastern Gulf region and the 58th country he has visited as Pope. This time, the Gulf Air Boeing 787 plane with papal entourage and journalists had taken the 4-day journey to the Muslim-majority island nation to participate in the Bahrain Forum for Dialogue and to touch base with the country's small and diverse Catholic flock. The Holy Father gave great encouragement to the country's local church, celebrating Eucharist for some 30,000 faithful from 111 countries, during which he spoke of love and its power to end the spiral of violence plaguing the world. The Mass marked the second Mass ever celebrated by a pope in the Gulf region, the first being the one Pope Francis had celebrated in Abu Dhabi in 2019. The Holy Father invited young people to live their faith and draw near to Christ, and exhorted the clergy and religious to preserve their God-given joy, spread it, and remember that with God they can face and overcome anything. During a special meeting with the young people at Sacred Heart School in Awali, Pope Francis said, "We need your creativity, your dreams and your courage, your charm and your smiles, your contagious joy, and that touch of craziness that you can bring to every situation, which helps to break us out of our stale habits and ways of looking at things." He called on them to strive to be champions of fraternity. At the forum, Pope Francis called on fellow religious leaders to recognize their immense responsibility and duty to help a suffering humanity, especially through promoting peace and condemning those who use the name of God to perpetrate violence. The Pope also met specifically with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Ahmad al-Tayyib, and the Ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople, Bartholomew I. With the backdrop of war and suffering and grave injustices across the globe, the Pope made strong appeals for peace, especially in Ukraine, Ethiopia, and Yemen, for ending rearmament, and for human rights, especially religious freedom and recognition of the rights and dignity of women, children, and citizenship. COP27, hunger, conflict, climate, inequality, all interconnected. Addressing attendees of the UN's COP27 Climate Change Conference, November 6 to 18, Cardinal Secretary of State of the Holy See, Pietro Parolin, says that we cannot ignore the link between the climate crisis and the lack of access to food and water. The Cardinal stressed the close relationship between food and water security on the one hand and issues such as war, the climate, and economic inequality on the other, before going on to provide a number of proposals for addressing those problems. The major theme of his addresses, one on food security, the other on water, was the close connection between these subjects and other major global issues, the same interconnectedness cited by Pope Francis' 2015 encyclical letter Laudato Si. Hunger and malnutrition are increasing due to wars and conflicts, climate crises, market disruptions, inequality, lack of willingness to share resources and know-how, and the neglect of nature. All of these are interconnected, the Cardinal said. Climate change affects the functioning of every component of food systems, often in ways that exacerbate inequalities between regions of the world and groups in society, in addition to adversely impacting women and children. More than 100 world leaders gathered in the Egyptian Red Sea town of Sharm el-Sheikh for this annual UN Climate Change Summit. On the first day, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that the world is on a highway to climate hell with our foot on the accelerator. Unless drastic action is taken to curb global warming. In an impassioned plea to the world leaders saying that humanity must cooperate or perish, he added that rich industrial nations must lead the way. Vivat International, the nonprofit organization of the SVD-SSPS, is present at COP27. Members have visited some pavilions, followed the Water, Ocean, and Indigenous People Forum's discussions, and attended the CSO daily briefing. For the first time, COP27 has provided a special pavilion dedicated to the ocean, offering an interactive discussion on the impact of deep-sea mining. San Bernardino Syro-Malabar Mission celebrates Patron. San Bernardino area Syro-Malabar Mission celebrated the feast of its patron, St. Jude, on Sunday, October 30th at Christ the Redeemer Church, Grand Terrace, California. The event also marked the 5th anniversary of the mission. The celebration began with Holy Kurbana Mass with main celebrant Father Soni Sebastian, SVD, founder and former director of the mission, and concelebrants Monsignor Gerald Lopez, Vicar General of the Diocese of San Bernardino and homilist, and Father Biju Thomas, SVD, director of the mission. In his homily, Monsignor Lopez said that the Syro-Malabar mission is most welcome in the diocese, its presence and tradition adding to its multicultural tenor. The Mass was followed by solemn procession of the Blessed Sacrament around the church. Colorful umbrellas, golden cross, a beautifully adorned statue of St. Jude, rhythmic music of the traditional chenda drums added color to the procession. Then followed a cultural program and dinner in the hall. Noted playback singers from Indian films and local talent sang while others performed Bollywood-style dances. The main highlights of the program were the releasing and publishing of the souvenir to mark the 5th anniversary and completion of the first project of St. Jude Charity, a program begun by members of the mission to assist philanthropic activities in Kerala, India. The first St. Jude project was the building of a simple 2-bedroom house for a needy family there. The Syro-Malabar Catholic Church is an Eastern Catholic church based in Kerala, tracing its origins to the evangelistic activity of Thomas the Apostle in the 1st century. The Syro-Malabar Church uses a variant of the East Syriac Rite, today known as Syro-Malabar Rite, which dates back to 3rd century Edessa, Upper Mesopotamia. As such, it is a part of Syriac Christianity by liturgy and heritage. The Church is autonomous in full communion with the Pope and the worldwide Catholic Church, including the Latin Church and the 22 other Eastern Catholic churches, with self-governance under the Code of Canons of the Eastern Churches. The Church is headed by the Major Archbishop of the Syro-Malabar, currently Cardinal George Alancherry. The Syro-Malabar Synod of Bishops, canonically convoked and presided over by the Major Archbishop, constitutes the supreme authority of this church. Syro-Malabar is the largest of the St. Thomas Christian communities, with a population of 2.35 million members in Kerala and 4.25 million worldwide. It is the 3rd largest church in the Catholic Church Communion and the 2nd largest Eastern Catholic Church after the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church. Cyril Malabar has provided thousands of priests and religious missionaries to the church who have gone to the four corners of the world with the good news of Christ. SSPS Justice and Peace in Illinois. Recently, IROT, Illinois Women Religious Against Human Trafficking, hosted an educational human trafficking conference at Drury Lane, Oak Brook, Illinois. There was a great turnout and great speakers, including a trafficking victim, Evelyn Chumbow, and panelists, Laura Ng from Chicago Department of Family Services, Cristobal Cavazos, an immigration activist, Ashley Kiesler, an FBI officer, and Brooks Abramson from the U.S. Department of Labor. Lots of good information was shared, and there was great audience participation. There was also a great presence of SVDs and of SSPS sisters who are participating members of IROT. Birthday of St. Arnold celebrated. Arnold Janssen was born on November 5, 1837 in Gok, a small city in Lower Rhineland, Germany. The second of 10 children, his parents instilled in him a deep devotion to religion. His life was filled with constant search for God's will, a great confidence in divine providence, and hard work. That his work has been blessed is evident in the subsequent growth of the communities he founded. Society of the Divine Word, SVD, Missionary Sisters, Servants of the Holy Spirit, SSPS, and Sister Servants of the Holy Spirit of Perpetual Adoration, SSPS-AP. More than 6,000 SVDs are active in over 72 countries, and more than 3,000 SSPS and 400 SSPS-AP serve the Church and her people around the world. National Black Catholic Men's Conference renamed. SVD Father Charles Smith and Archbishop Charles C. Thompson smile after celebrating the closing Mass for the National Black Catholic Men's Conference at St. Rita Church in Indianapolis on October 15th. The conference was renamed in honor of Father Charles' late twin, SVD Father Chester Smith, co-founder of the conference in 2004. The annual conference was something Father Chester felt called to create. And nearly 20 years later, the outreach he helped form, the National Black Catholic Men's Conference, continues to bear fruit. The conference, which did not meet in person in 2020 and 2021 because of COVID-19, helps carry out the mission of the Bowman Francis Ministry, named for two Society of the Divine Word priests and servant of God, Sister Thea Bowman. Begun in 1995, the Bowman Francis Ministry's mission is to minister to the total Black Catholic, spiritually, physically, and intellectually, and to offer many gainful avenues to meet the needs of Black people everywhere, according to its website. SVD lay partners of Aphram Zone hold first meeting. Divine Word missionary lay partners from across the Aphram, that is Africa, Madagascar zone, gathered for the first time from October 10 to 15 in Kinshasa. The assembly was attended by representatives of lay groups from Angola, Ghana, Kenya, Mozambique, South Africa, Togo, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Those from Zambia and Botswana participated online. The assembly was an opportunity for fraternal meeting among Divine Word lay partners of different provinces, regions, and missions in Africa, and between the laity and the missionaries working on this continent. 3 Divine Word missionary officials accompanied the lay groups at the meeting. Father Stanislaus Lazar, General Mission Secretary from Rome, Father Willie Kamian, Aphram Zone Coordinator, and Father Alpha Mazenga, Provincial of the Congo Province. Many SVDs working in Congo and some scholastics in formation also took part. The Assembly's theme was, "Your light must shine before others," from Matthew 5. The teachings focused on the formation of the Divine Word laity. Jean-Paul Nicolequeto, coordinator of Divine Word lay partners in Congo and one of the Assembly's organizers, praised the atmosphere that reigned during the forum. Father Kamian celebrated a Thanksgiving Mass to conclude the Assembly. Workshop on Missio Dei. The practical implications of the view of mission, which places God at the center, were the subject of a workshop on the Scientific Institutes of St. Augustine in Siegburg, Germany, at the beginning of November. The 3 Styler Institutes in St. Augustine saw the reason for this workshop, in which around 25 Styler missionaries and missiologists took part on their founding anniversaries: 90 years of Anthropos Institute, 60 years of Styler Missionswissenschaften Institute, that is, mission science, and 50 years of Monumenta Serica in St. Augustine. The understanding of mission as Missio Dei, God's mission, began 70 years ago at a mission conference of evangelical churches. An open space inspires experienced missionary scientists like Steve Bevan, SVD's doctoral students, Altus Jebada, SVD, Christophorus Adeodatus, SVD, an evangelical professor like Dorothea Nagy, or an Asian Federation employee of bishops' conferences like Anthony Leduc, as well as a former superior general like Antonio Pernia, SVD, to discuss how to fully understand that God has a mission in and for this world, and how we, together with other people of the same or different religion or belief, could work together to transform it as God designed. Nowadays, mission is mainly traced back to God directly, not so much to the church, the command, or a charismatic founding figure of the various congregations. But this view of God's mission often remains a formula without practical application for the missionaries. Hence, a workshop to pursue this question. In addition to 15 members of the institutes, there were another 10 Styler missionaries. Among them were Superior General Paulus Budi-Claydon, SVD, and the mission secretary of the Generalate, Lazar Stanislaus, SVD, as well as 6 missiologists from other congregations and churches in the Philippines, Thailand, the USA, the Generalate in Rome, Austria, and especially Germany. Discussions focused on the image and idea of God and church, the common discernment of spirits as a basis for decisions, the kingdom of God and the function of institutions and churches in the realization of mission, and the importance of interculturality. The different emphases and beliefs were experienced as enrichment rather than conflict. Schooling for working boys in Lesotho. You might say Lesotho is a country advanced in feminism. On weeknights at 8:30 p.m., you might find dozens of boys crammed into a classroom competing to look at battered old math and English books. 17-year-old Thabo Kobo attends lessons at the Good Shepherd Night School run by the Good Shepherd Sisters of Quebec in Samongkong. That's a tiny mountainous village in central Lesotho, about 115 kilometers southeast of the capital, Maseru, where sisters offer Thabo and other herd boys like him an education. Thabo had to drop out of school in grade 3 at age 12 to look for a job as a herd boy to help take care of his family and educate his sisters. I wanted to continue studying, but my parents only wanted my sisters to go to school, he said, noting that he was now in grade 5 and still hoping one day to become an accountant. During the day, he takes care of sheep, goats, and cattle, but when the animals are sleeping, he's off to school. Lesotho, a high-altitude landlocked kingdom encircled by South Africa, is one of the few countries in the world where more girls go to school than boys. In many African countries, families prefer to educate boys for various reasons, but here, the gender gap in education favors girls. UNICEF reports that in secondary school, Lesotho has 1.6 girls enrolled for every boy, putting its feminine education attainment way ahead of the rest of the world. Boys do get more involved than girls in child labor, the report said, but that leads to their decline in school attendance. So orders of sisters have gone to work to narrow that gap. Sister Jacinta Safali, who is in charge of the Good Shepherd Night School, says, "In our country, education for the boy child is the least of people's concerns. No one bothers about the future of the boys. When a boy gets to 10 years old, the parents see him as old enough to earn money, while girls are allowed to go to school." Safali said the trend has created hatred among siblings. She said, "We have committed ourselves to making sure that the boys are also empowered, just like the girls." If you have a comment or question about any of our stories, please email us at missionminutenews@wordnet.tv. You can also post your comments below each video on YouTube. We promise to respond. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon. Share with others about the channel and the variety of programs you enjoy there. Please join us every Wednesday for our online Eucharist and Adoration and Benediction of the Blessed Sacrament, starting at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. You can always catch it later on YouTube if that's not a good time for you. Also, send us your prayer requests or intentions for Eucharist by contacting us by phone at 909-383-4333 or send an email to mail@wordnet.tv. This is Mission Minute News. Until we meet again, stay safe and well, and may Jesus' love for you make you smile.